I'll be taking a spring break for a few weeks. In the meantime, we're repodcasting some past bike adventures. Hope you enjoy. Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Pedal Shift Project. The Pedal Shift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments around the bike touring lifestyle. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride, let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net/260, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109 and check Pedalshift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 260th edition of the Pedal Shift Project. My name's Tim Mooney. Thanks so much for joining on this edition of the show. Look, sometimes bad ideas go good, sometimes good ideas go bad, and then there's the latest bonkers idea of a tour I dreamt up. As I talked about last episode, this is the Game of Chance, or a Game of Chance tour. This is the first of two parts. Just to see how random selection of route, direction, and more makes for a tour. It did not go the way that I anticipated. Look, everything about this was random, and, well, we got that for sure. Hope you enjoyed this, the first of two parts.
Good morning. I don't know if you can quite hear it, but it is a rainy start today for day one of the new tour, the roll of the dice, the chance tour. I can't remember what we call it. I always say this at the beginning of all the tours because I always forget the name of them. So with the rainy start, it means I've got to be prepared for, well, rain conditions. It's a little bit on the, I won't call it cool, but I won't call it warm either. And I think that it's going to be that classic kind of fall day, that transition day between a warmer day and a cooler day. So that's going to make things very interesting because, as you know, there are a variety of options for me this day, a variety of them. And we will, I don't know where I'm going to be going starting this morning. Don't know. It's possible that I'm going to be riding from here. I'm at the cabin. Or that I'm going to be driving from here because of any of the possible iterations. If you missed the last episode, check that out. It goes into a little bit more detail on kind of how this is all going to work. But just a quick reminder, I've got a random generator on my phone. And I'll probably drop in a little bit of extra little sound stuff for the random generation of the choices that end up happening here. Ooh, wind. This will be fun. By the way, it is gorgeous too. We're at my cabin. We are maybe just ahead of peak. There's certain species of trees that are turned, but it's just beautiful right now. Some of the trees are still fully green. Some are fully like kind of a nice golden color, and they're starting to drop their leaves. The oaks are starting to drop some of their leaves. So I think it's going to be a really beautiful ride today. Anyway, so we're going to have the first random generation going to be here because it's going to determine whether I'm going to be riding or driving to one of three places. And I laid those out before. Number one, the tried and true Chesapeake and Ohio National Historic Park towpath. Number two, the Great Allegheny Passage. Number three, the Pennsylvania Road Route. I said Pennsylvania Route 11, I think, on the prior edition. That's, of course, US 11 is where I start going. And it's one of the lettered routes. So we will just kind of see how this all goes. All right. Without further ado, random generation. And the winner is number one, the C&O. We are going to be on the C&O to start. So that gives a couple of options. We've got some options. I could ride from here. I could go from Hancock. I could go from Cumberland. I could go from Shepherdstown. Those are your four. Those are your four options. So, random generation. Am I riding in the rain? Am I driving someplace and maybe the rain will be over? And the winner is Hancock, Maryland. That means that I will be driving across the river. It is the shortest of the driving opportunities. I know exactly where I'm going to park because I knew where I was going to park for all of these if I was driving. So we're going to be loading up the bike and my gear. We're going to be throwing it into the car. We're going to be parking in Hancock, Maryland. And then, who knows? More to come. All right, we are all packed up. And you can probably hear that the rain is coming down. Forecast says that we're going to be raining for the next few hours. I'm trying to get out into a little more of a clearing here. Yeah, it's a light rain. So, to be honest, I don't think it's that bad. I do have rain gear with me. That'll be fine. We'll be making good use of that if necessary. But all I had to do was take off the front wheel. I didn't have to do anything else to get it into the enormous trunk of the La Crosse, which has been, by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I've reconverted that back into normal vehicle mode. I removed the bed platform. It went quicker than I anticipated. It was actually a lot easier to do. So anyway, so that by folding down those rear seats, full-size bike, no problem. Just removing that front wheel. I probably could have done it without, but kind of nice in this scenario where I don't want to necessarily have a rack and all that other stuff, even though that's not a huge deal. But we'll be hopping in the La Crosse and going to our random chance destination of Hancock, Maryland to get started on the CNO. Off we go. And oh, by the way, I think I'll probably maybe do a little bit of a recording in the vehicle to talk a little bit more about what I have brought on this rainy day for whatever is to come. All right. Welcome to the interior of the La Crosse. We are on the way out of here. And make sure I practice good habits here. All right, so yeah, like I said, rainy day. Not so bad that I think that it's any kind of a problem at all. I don't think it will impact riding, potential camping, anything along those lines. But you know, it's certainly, would I prefer it to be 65 degrees and overcast as opposed to raining? Well, yeah, of course. But this is what I got. This is what I drew. Interestingly, perhaps ironically, I don't know if it would be ironic, but interestingly, when I was originally planning on doing this trip, I was hoping to have a scenario where I'd have multiple days, lots more spaciousness, and it was going to be very wet in the original time that I was going. And then that weekend, it ended up not raining at all, which was really kind of funny. And having delayed it for a variety of other reasons, it was kind of funny how it ended up all working out. In any event. I just realized I have to go make a garbage run. So I guess you're going to come with me to drop the garbage off. One of the unique elements of my cabin, I guess it's not unique. One of the elements of my cabin that I have to live with is the fact that there's no garbage pickup at my cabin itself. So I always have to take it to a centralized dumping location. So awesome podcast content here, no doubt. Sorry, I'm editing this. This is now a solid waste disposal podcast. Pardon me. I don't regret actually taking you along for that part, because this gave me an opportunity to see what it was like in the clearing with no trees. And I'd say it's a pretty moderate rain. I would get very wet if I didn't wear rain gear. I believe I've got my rain pants with me too, and I think I may go with those, depending on what the rest of the weather gives me. And also, if I don't, and this ends up being multiple days without any roofed lodging, which is always a possibility. I mean, this could be I have to be ready for everything. So basically, I don't want to have too much wet stuff on me, because there's not going to be real opportunity for things to dry, certainly today. We will cover all of that when we get to it. All right, so what did I bring along for this? So I basically did a little bit of pruning, because my camping scenarios are a totally different set of scenarios compared to, we had the random wheel of chance, the random number generator had given me Pennsylvania or the Gap. If it had given me Pennsylvania or the Gap, I think I would have brought more stuff. So I edited out a few, some clothing. I don't think I have to worry about super cold weather gear, which I would have thought about if I had caught the Gap, because there's a possibility for elevation, things along those lines. Not crazy elevation, but I think that the forecast was for much colder nights out that direction. So since I'm going to be down at very much sea level, and the nights just aren't going to be that cold, did some editing, took out some of the cold weather gear. I'm riding relatively light for a C&O ride, but I do have all of the elements necessary for camping, should that end up being the choice. There's going to be some other potential choices of not camping as well, but I just can't bank on that, obviously. If I end up not taking the gear for one of the potential forks in the road, as it were, i.e. if I end up going way out towards, I don't know, Cumberland, or way out towards Harper's Ferry, which is entirely possible on a day like this, I got to be ready for camping. Or, as you'll see as this day goes along, I'm going to be having back and forth switches. So I am not necessarily going to be linearly going out 60 straight miles or 40 straight miles. I am going to be potentially doing back and forth. So there is a possibility in one of the forks on the road that I don't end up doing any camping. It's a slim possibility, but it is a potential fork in the road. Obviously, I'll mention it if it becomes a thing. But I am probably, I don't know how many different potential permutations there are to the trip today, or beyond. But camping is the one that is by far the most likely. So tent, down bag, the usual kind of middle of the road sleep kit. It's not warm weather sleep kit. It's not cold weather sleep kit. It's just my usual stuff. So I think that'll be good. The sleepwear and stuff. I was able to get everything into 2 panniers and the handlebar bag. That was actually the really nice thing. I didn't have to bring the extra dry bag, which I typically have to bring on most trips, because I'm doing multi days, and I want to keep those all segregated out. So it might be a little bit of a potential problem with the rain, and if I got the wet gear and stuff like that. But I'm going to cross that bridge when I get to it. Actually, I take it back. I think I do have the extra dry bag in. Yeah, I have the extra dry bag in one of the panniers, so that is a potential option. All right, I'm about to get onto Highway 9, the main highway that runs right through the middle of the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. But since somebody is turning here, I will wait for them. Okay, here we go. Wet roads today, so trying to be a little more circumspect with things.
Trying to think about anything else. I am going to do a supply run in Hancock at the store before I get rolling and before we do the next random chance, which is going to be which direction I go in. A little bit of preview for you there, but just given the fact that I don't have any I've got a couple of snacks on hand, but I don't have food on hand. I'm gonna do a pickup for at least basically this afternoon dinner, just having options with me. And what I need to make sure is that I've got food through tomorrow morning if I end up going, let's say, towards Cumberland. I've got to be prepared for not having any food options out that direction, because there's really nothing between Hancock and Cumberland of real note. So I got to make sure that that's a possibility. So I got to be ready for that. Then, but if I go in the other direction, there is more food opportunities. There's Shepherdstown and all of that. So I have to be mindful that I'm getting stuff that I can use if necessary. This is so funny. I'm such a planner. This is where all my planning stuff is kind of getting extra crazy, because I'm very. I want to make sure that I'm not going to be hungry tonight if the roll of the dice ends up going in a way. This is very uncomfortable. How do you people do this? All right, I'm going to keep going to Hancock, and we'll chat again after the supply run, and then we'll do the random direction or random chance to decide which direction we are going. This is very uncomfortable, but I love it. It's kind of fun.
All right, Hancock, Maryland. At my usual parking spot. I am kitted up with food, and I am loading the bike right now. The rain has largely stopped, which is fantastic, and I'm a big fan of that. I got a variety of like burritos and other things that I think will be good. Got a little bit of some caffeinated beverages to be ready for. I forgot to mention I did bring my coffee making gear and my stove and stuff like that just tucked in there. I'm not planning on doing any real big cooking no matter what I do, so I kind of just have like some nuts and things like that I can kind of snack on as necessary, because of the possibility that I may be, as I mentioned, somewhere off in the bush if I end up going westbound and I'm camping and I don't have access to food. I'm good. But if not, it's not like I've got like I'm gonna eat like I have to eschew like good places like Maria's Taqueria if I end up at Shepherdstown. So all right, so loading up the bike, I'll take a couple of pictures. I don't think if you're listening to this, I am not going to be posting photos to Instagram this time, but I will end up having photos in the show notes, just to kind of lighten my load a little bit in terms of decision making and stuff like that. Also, with just the possibility of rain, probably won't be doing that. This does not matter to you if you're listening to this in real time, because, well, you can go to the show notes at pedalshift.net and check out the pictures. Anyways, loading up the bike and off we go. Loading up the bike, and then when we return, we will be determining. I've realized that there are two forks in the road right here, and you'll find out about those in a moment. All right. Just got a picture of the Goblin in its inaugural East Coast ride. It's interesting, obviously I was not the first owner of this bike, but I'm often wondering, was this a West Coast only bike? Did it exist only there? Who knows? But I know for sure this is the first time it's ever been on the East Coast for me. So it's about to do some real riding for the first time on, one of two amazing trails, and that's where we get to our first random number generator. And I realized that I've done these without telling you how I've been doing it. When I have a website, I am using random.org. You set a minimum number and a maximum number. And of course, I've got, as I rattle these off to you, number one choice is right in front of me right now, the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal National Historic Park Towpath. Number two, I forgot about this, and this is one of the fun things about this trip, the forks in the road that I forget about. I've got the Western Maryland Rail Trail here, so which one of those two will we get. Number one will be the C&O. Number two would be Western Maryland Rail Trail. Random number, please. Folks, we are doing the Western Maryland Rail Trail. Okay, now, second fork in the road. Are we going to be going, number one, will we be going, let's see, it would be downstream towards Washington, D.C., or are we going to be going upstream? Because we are right in the middle of the Western Maryland Rail Trail. Are we going to go towards Cumberland? Or excuse me, D.C. number one, Cumberland number two, generating now. Number two, we are going towards Cumberland. So off we go towards, out into the wildernessy section. Away we go. All right, Western Maryland Rail Trail. And we are in a good place right now, weather-wise. I have to say, a little on the muggy side. As I mentioned, I think on recent podcasts, sometimes this time of year can be, I don't know what the right word for it is, misleading perhaps, that you go outside and you're like, oh wow, cool, crisp air, and then the second you start rolling, you're like, ooh, it's muggy, ooh, it's not as cool as I thought it was. So there's still a bit of rain going on, so I am going to continue to wear my rain jacket for a little while, but pit zips are fully down. I think that I'm going to end up doing some more shirt sleeve riding in a little bit, but otherwise things are good. Bike is this is the first time I've had the bike really going and really testing out the new chain, and boy, what a difference compared to the last time I was riding this in earnest. As I think of it, the last time I was riding this bike was to the airport in Medford, Oregon, trying to beat out a thunderstorm. So the fact that it's raining now is kind of, I suppose, full circle. All right, we're going to continue down to the terminus of this trail, and then that'll be our next fork in the road, quite literally. And there'll be a double choice, maybe a triple choice. We'll have to figure it out when we get there. More to come on the Game of Chance Tour, day one. Fork in the road. Forgot about this one. When I run into signs, will I stop and read them to you? And I've already taken the liberty of doing the number count, and I am here to tell you, you're going to listen to the Round Top Sand Company Western Maryland Rail Trail sign. Here we go. I don't think I've ever done this on the pod. I haven't read any of these signs. The Round Top Sand Company and the Maryland Glass Company mined sand in the area during the early 1900s. On the ridge overlooking this area lies a thick bed of Oriskany sandstone. This sedimentary rock formation yielded a fine white sand that was suitable for glass manufacture. I didn't know that. A unique structure was designed and built in 1919 to move sand that was mined on the ridge to the Western Maryland Railway 60 feet below. This structure, including two 6-inch diameter pipes, was supported by a cable system. That's fascinating. A slurry of sand and water was pumped through the pipes into a large storage tank. The sand was then transferred from the storage tank onto the railroad cars located on a sliding track. And there is an image of the whole thing. So yeah, this is all part and parcel of the this section of the C&O as well, where there's an old manufacturing plant. And I think it's related to this Round Top Sand Company. So there you go. Random Chance Tour offered an opportunity for you to learn here on the Western Maryland Rail Trail. Continuing westbound. Not quite to the end of the trail yet. I think I promised, hey, next up, end of the trail. And I always do extra installments, don't I? I wanted to mention the foliage situation. Now, my cabin is, roughly 1,000 feet up, if memory serves. I'll have to check that. I'll have to fact check myself on that, but it's at elevation compared to here. And I'm seeing more leaf color up by me. Down here, interestingly, it's very green still, although there is some yellow amongst some of the trees. But what I'm seeing is a lot of brown leaves on the ground. So riding conditions are a little slick. Wet leaves, y'all. They're the real deal. but not a hint of red or orange. And that's usually a pretty common sight for foliage down here, as we've got maples and some oaks down this direction. Those are changing, like I said, up by me. Now, I'm spying the pawpaws. Those, of course, if you remember, I think last year I talked a little bit about the pawpaw fruit and the pawpaw trees. Now, of course, those have long ripened and fallen off, but the pawpaw trees themselves are very distinctive, very broad leaves, and those are all, you can pick them out because they're the ones that have turned yellow, whereas everything else is green, which is kind of interesting. Very wet, warm fall and end of summer, as I've mentioned before, and that's certainly impacting things. Now, I have not laid tires onto the C&O after today's rain, so it shall be interesting to see how the trail is handling things, because I'm assuming, well, there's a 2 out of 3 chance at the end of this that I will be getting onto the C&O. Now, which direction? Don't know yet, but as that's a little preview of what our random game of chance is. Now, one thing is I don't get a signal there, and so I do have a random number generator app on my phone to be able to handle things when I don't have a signal. Passing by these spooky old, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a weird little cabin. Like, it looks like a place where like a rail person would be hanging out, directing trains or something. Anyways, it always looks haunted to me. So we're getting close to the end here, but I thought I would give a bit of a foliage update. Oh, I am getting here as I look over my left shoulder, the rail trail, the paved rail trail has dipped back down again, and you can see the C&O. In fact, this is a spot where you can cross down to it, but it's not really recommended because the canal is there, and while it's not filled, it's often marshy and buggy and not too great, but the trail looks pretty good. So at least going back towards Hancock, I know that the C&O is looking good, and that is, as I mentioned, one of the 2 opportunities. I just passed by mile marker 19 for the Western Maryland Rail Trail, which, if memory serves, means I'm about 2-ish miles from the end. So I think it's a pretty clear bet that the next time you hear me, it'll be a random game of chance. Which direction do I go?
All right, folks. So that was the end of the Western Maryland Rail Trail. Next week, you will be able to see what ended up happening from there. I am here to tell you that if you thought that this was pretty straightforward up to this point, well, it kind of was. Things got different. Things got very different, and you will learn all about how wacky and crazy the game of chance ended up going next week on part 2 of A Game of Chance, Stuart. Thank you for joining. You can find Pedal Shift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedal Shift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.